Good morning. I'd like to call the Brookings County Commission meeting to order. Tuesday, June 1st at 8:30. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. Is there anybody present? Seeing none. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 5, consent agenda items. We have approval of the minutes, approval of travel requests, approval of personal action notices, approval of cellular authorizations, approval of human services report. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections, changes? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 6, routine business, approval of the claims. Have a motion approved.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments here, changes? Hearing none, call the roll.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number B, department head reports. Brian, would you like to start?
Morning.
Morning.
On the 20th, I attended a funding research technical panel in Pier in regards to House Bill 1259. I don't know, felt like it was a fairly good conversation. I was in Pier to an item not related to that, but I ended up attending anyways. On the 24th, or the week of the 24th, there, Brookings County crews worked on 32nd Street South between 22nd Avenue and Main Avenue. We're shouldering the edges of the road, preparation for the asphalt, so we just had closures during the daylight or daytime hours, and then we were also doing some patches where we'd replace some culverts. On the 25th, the Bruce Bridge, the deck pour was completed. That was a pretty major milestone to meet there. So we got roughly 28 days, so 4 to 6 weeks thereafter for final completion. 25th also, I met with Civil Design, and we took a look at the intersection south of Volga where we had a fatality earlier this year, and I was contacted by the South Dakota Highway Safety Engineer in regards to this intersection, and then we could be looking at 90% federal funds, or federal safety funds, and 10% Brookings County funds. So I met with CDI to take a look at getting some preliminary work done and asked them to assist me in any forms or applications to be eligible for those funds. Then we also took a look at 77 South, where we've replaced those bridges, and the possibility of widening that for more or less a realignment of the eastbound lane is what we were kind of come up with. So we'll be getting a quote from them on that. But aside from that, I wanted to share with you guys, Stacy, if you could show that figure, yeah, the commercial driver's license manual one. And if you scroll down to page 2, where it has that figure 2.13. And I'd like you guys to take a look at that, and it just shows the correct way that the CDL manual shows for trucks to make that corner. I mean, they are supposed to come into oncoming traffic. in the opposite lane. So I just wanted to share that before we really decide if we're going to spend any money on that. What I'd like to have done initially, I guess, is just to get it. We don't have an as-built from that bridge when we got it reconstructed, so we need to get an as-built there to show where the guardrail's at. So that's be fairly minor topographic work to provide us with that, and then we can have them run a model with a software that implicates truck turning movements to see if we physically actually have to do something there, or if it is, you know, a detriment, then we would have to look at widening that. And one of the, like I said, that option would be to essentially change the alignment of just the eastbound lane. So anyways.
Brian, is there an option to do any signage to this effect that shows that this is the proper way to make that corner? Is there any, I've never seen any, but is there any signage that would let people know they're going eastbound, watch for turning traffic?
Yeah, we could put, you know, truck turning, but one of the things that we're doing also is we got traffic counter on loan from the South Dakota Learning, or LTAP. We have a traffic counter down there just physically counting how many of those class of vehicles making those turning movements. So we're getting some traffic counting information lined up also to help justify if we're going to need it. But as far as the truck turning, I really can't determine that until I get my physical traffic counts done.
I just don't know if there were any signs available for that type of a turn that would be certainly less
I'm not a-
expensive. I'm going to guess that most of the people making that right-hand turn do it on a repeated basis there. And once they learn it, I don't think it's going to be an issue, but we can still look at the study and the cost, but maybe signage is the way to go if it's available.
But there again, if we put a sign up for that particular class vehicle, how many are down there, that's what I need to know. So anyways, we are looking into that. Ryan, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that, taking a good look at that. As far as the project through Aurora goes on 23, they finished the grinding through town on Friday, and the contract, all that's left on the contract now is going to be the crack sealing. So we're going to be close to being done here, first part of June here. We're working on Brookings County 12 south of town, where we did that asphalt patch last year, just to the west of the Signage Bridge. And then following that, we'll move up to 25 to fill in the areas with the clay that settled over the winter, and we'll get that top dressed with gravel. And wanted to let everybody know that 614 Brookings County south of Volga will be closed for the replacement of a small structure for a period of approximately 2 weeks. And then I've attached the advertisement that I shared in the paper that we'll be closing that down.
That small structure, are you guys doing it, or are we hiring that out? How's
We're gonna hire out a contractor to assist us with an excavator, but we're gonna be doing the work. And the only other subcontractor we'll have is a crane, because we don't own a crane large enough to set those double 5x11. So it's a fairly sizable hunk of concrete we're putting in the hole. And then Leanne mentioned to me before the meeting that we do have a red line in our budget, and that's our big matching grant fund, and we had talked about that before, that we're going to have to supplement that because we had to pay 100% of those fees for the Bruce Bridge, and then we'll be reimbursed by the state. So,
And what that is in the financial ledger, the general account ledger, it shows that the 201 fund is $479,000 in the hole. So when do we fix that?
We'll be doing the supplemental budget hearing at the next meeting, I believe.
Aside from that, next week I'll be out in Pier again, our summer meeting for the highway superintendents. I'll be out there on the 9th and 10th. Thanks.
Any questions? Lori?
Good morning.
Morning.
So today I made the first payment on the jail bond, along with our regular payment on our HVAC series. So that has started. I did submit reimbursement for all of the professional services and contract charges that we've had on the jail so far. I did submit reimbursement from the bond to pay for those, because we've just been paying them out of our regular money market. So we'll get reimbursement on that. And I applied on behalf of the commission and county for the American Rescue Plan Act 2021 funds. And it was a very, very involved process, ending with a facial scan. So if you see another one of me walking around, that's probably why. It was very interesting for that into our bank account. So now we need to figure out what we can spend those on.
How much was that?
It was $3,406,648. So we've got that. Let's see. I did get a visit from a collection agency last week about how we collect our liens, and it was very interesting conversation. And their question was if they could benefit the county collecting all of our liens and that kind of thing. And I ended the conversation with, it was something I would have to look into, a lot of discussion, and I need to also learn how the lien process is flowing in our county, because it is a confusion for, I think, every county that I talk to. Their collection of jail costs, county liens, it's just kind of muddled. So I think I'm going to delve into that, looking at that, and have some discussions and see, if there's a better way to do that. Otherwise, we are just busy at the end of the month in the office. Budget requests are done from department heads and entered in, so your books are being made. And that's about all I got.
Any other questions? Thank you. Bob?
Good morning.
Morning.
The county has been paying for meals for all the points of dispensing that we've had up until now. I think that might be a good way to spend a couple $1,000s of that. But I've been taking it out of my disaster line, but we could easily put it back into my disaster line. Okay, speaking of pods, we had our last one on May 20th. Our final one will be on a Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. on June 9th. And that will be the second Pfizer shot for the youngsters from 12 to 17. And if I'm not mistaken, that's also going to be a walk-in for the Johnson & Johnson shot. LEPC meeting was conducted virtually. I attended a tri-state meeting virtually. Big Sioux Diversion project, I submitted 2 documents. One is to basically complete what's been done up until now. And reading through that, it's a quote for $6,000, and we can put it on the next agenda for an action item. I realize it's not an action item this time. But the first document, to finish up the existing grant that or the existing contract that we've got with them, they've spent the money that we dedicated to them, and now they expect it to cost approximately $6,000 more to finish up the part, and that's getting, they made contact with the NRCS now at the federal level, and they're just waiting now on what does the federal government want for, in response to even look at the thing. Right now, we're still in no guarantee that anything's gonna be accomplished. This is still doing the lead up to it. So they're requesting $6,000 more for that. And then if it comes back positive and they're saying, yes, you've got something that we can look at, that's gonna kick in an environmental assessment. And to do that, that was the second document that was attached. And that quote, the first document, like I said, to finish up the old one, the environmental assessment, which and the 404 permitting and all that, we knew would be additional funding. And that quote came in at $108,455.00. So my recommendation is, at the next meeting, we put an action item, do the 6,000, get something finalized, and then I guess we'll have to decide if we want to do the continue on. Any thoughts? Okay. We'll put that on the next agenda.
The last meeting we had, it sounded pretty positive that something
By all
could be
means,
done.
yeah, it did, but it's going to take more money to even to get the final answer, it sounds like, so we can move on. Next up, on Tuesday next week, the county will be participating in emergency response training. We sent out a press release on Friday, and the emergency response training is the U.S. Army is coming up, and they're bringing out a South Dakota National Guard Civil Support Team. They'll be doing a joint hazmat and law enforcement exercise at the Swift Health Center and at Hanson Hall on SDSU campus. I've done up the paperwork to count the June 8th event as a full-scale exercise. So I will be calling my liaison out to the Swift Health Center, and you'll be seeing things like a draft or an exercise, declaration of emergency, and everything that goes along with a full-scale exercise will be produced that day. To get credit for our exercise, our Emergency Operations Center has to be in full force. What I'm doing is I'm going to operate out of the mobile Emergency Operations Center using county employees and one volunteer that used to be a city employee. We're going to have a public information officer, finance officer, resource officer, or logistics officer, and a planning officer, and an operations. That's the five that I absolutely have to staff. I'll have to have a county commissioner, of course. Can't be an exercise without your boss there. So everything will be put out as training. We do expect you to get some calls on June 8th from the public wanting to know, because no one's going to be listening to this and making notes, but we did put the press release out, and we'll put another one. The SDSU's putting one out. There'll be some interesting stuff going on near the Swift Health Center. Anything that we release to the public will always say exercise, exercise, exercise. So just be aware of that. If it changes from being an exercise to a real-life event, look for the red truck going down the road and follow it, and you'll be safe.
So, Bob, June 8th, you need a commissioner
I
there?
vote- I would need a commissioner at least there at least once, yes. And then we'll try to do the rest of it by phone. But we need someone to come in and check in, log in with our accountability system, so we've got them.
What time was that again?
Well, we're gonna start at 6 o'clock. Is when it's scheduled. I've got a call with the U.S. Army's actually doing it out of Texas. I got a call with them later this afternoon And as the final details, I'll start contacting people and letting people know what's going on more in depth. We've been, when you're doing an exercise and you're partly being graded, they only feed you a little bit at a time. They won't give you all the. We got a PPCC meeting on June 10th. That would be the first PPCC meeting after we started the big pods that would go on. That should be a rather interesting meeting. 911 meeting's been changed to June 15th because of something went on. We talked about the pod mills being put towards the COVID. And the last thing is the NACO conference is in, I put the date, July 9th through 12th. And I wanted to get your opinion on attending it or not. Meaning me attending, I'm sorry, if I didn't make that clear.
I think as a NACO board member, it's probably pretty important to represent Brookings County at the national convention.
Well, I
Yep, I would support that.
I
Bob.
didn't arbitrarily, just
Yep.
wanted to
Nope.
put a travel request in and yes,
I support that.
I have no issue. And they know I'm Brookings County and everything, they understand that part. All right, I'll go ahead and put a travel request in and start making my plans, and I know Commissioner Bartley's gonna be there, and
I'll be there.
Commissioner Boersma, and this one is gonna be a little different. It's actually out of the belt, what I would consider the beltway. You can't just walk out the door and hop on a subway. You're 30 minutes from the nearest transit stop, so you're going to be doing NACO business, at least I am, because I'm not walking 30 minutes to a transit stop, and I'll be danged if, I've never caught a taxi yet in Washington DC, and I'll be doggone if I start now.
Bob, what's the October meeting that you referred to in your report?
That's the Western
Interstate regional.
Interstate Conference. I've never attended those, that was just an option I wanted to throw out there. Obviously, as a board member, I don't attend all the board meetings. I understand that, and I don't expect the county to pay for those. So it's one or the other, and I understand that.
I have one other question, not related to that, though. Now that we're at the point where we're hopefully having our last pod, has there been any conversation? Is it something we should be talking about? Is it the county's place to bring it up? Should we be doing something for all those volunteers as a thank you? Or whether we're sending them a letter or doing something else, or is that not our place to do that?
We have talked about it. Stacy can explain it.
We'll be doing a recognition of some of those volunteers, kind of the ones that have been leading the charge on that at the next meeting. So,
At our next meeting?
yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I would be cautious to say June 9th is our last pod of this go-around. We fully expect, COVID is not over by any stretch of the imagination. I know people saying where we can have Memorial Day without masks and we can go swimming and all that. Don't forget, in September when it starts to turn cold on us again, with the variants going on overseas, in foreign countries that I can't even spell half their names, be real cautious if you did not get the vaccine, and that's fine, you're in America. I didn't spend 20 years in the Army to tell you what to do. You do what you want. But just be aware if you haven't gotten the vaccine and you do get it in the fall, it will be a different type of COVID than what we've had up to now, because it's changing. It's continuously changing, and I'll leave it at that. But we do expect more pods in the fall. A different type. These will probably be just booster shots, one shot and go, and that's what we had actually trained for many years up until now. But I would have to say I'm the chairperson of the PPCC, and I've got just the best volunteers there, and in the hospital and the clinics, both clinics, and they're just the best people in the world, and it's easy to make me look good. So, thank you very much. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I just come up to thank you guys for allowing me to work for you for the last 10 and a half, or 11 and a half years. I enjoyed it. Eileen, making sure she gets rid of a bunch of that welfare stuff that I've dumped on her, and wanting to make sure that's a good transition. And I think it'll be great that Eileen will have some assistance, and that they'll have another person helping with the welfare, or the VA side of it. So, you know, it's going to be much better, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike.
Thank you, Mike. And happy retirement.
Marty does not have anything? Okay. We do have a 9 o'clock jail progress update. Chad Nelson.
We can do the be it noted items. We haven't done those yet.
Okay. Be it noted items, Register of Deeds, statement of fees collected for the month of April.
That's usually part of the finance officer's report, but that came in a little bit late to get it in, so that information was included in your packet. 41,312 collected in April from the Register of Deeds.
Okay. And item 2, the following is BCOAC RSO to be added to our volunteer list for work comp purposes, Dale Storehog.
He is doing some archery volunteering out there, doing some things on with Dustin out there. So that's a great addition.
Do we need to just be it noted?
Yep.
Okay.
And if you want to start the jail update, I think we can. It's not a notice.
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
I
it's just scheduled so Chad knew when he needed to be here.
Chad, would you like to
so.
come forward and start?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I know I failed to get the updated schedule to Stacy, but I did bring copies. I don't know if you want to just pass. Kind of small print, but I think from the last time I was here, which was back in March, if I remember right, we were busy with precast, steel, joist, and deck. So we got through the rest of the spring, had a couple rain and snow, and like we typically get in late March and early April and all that. But we did well getting through it. So we're still pretty well on our original schedule. We had to shuffle a few things around, like we've discussed in our OAC meetings, just to try to keep progress rolling along. But we are to a point now. We've got the building closed up. Aluminum windows and glass are in. We've got a couple doors that we have not installed yet, but that's due to getting masonry block in and out. But yes, the shell, what we call the shell of the building, which is the roof, the walls, the exterior walls, and everything are complete now. So we're probably 99.9 watertight, which is good, which allows us to really start moving on the inside, which we have. We've made great progress on the inside. I think, was that a couple weeks ago? I think you guys toured the facility, so you're kind of well aware of what's happening on the inside. So everything is rolling along. We hit the big milestone with the cells, got delivered, pushed into place, so that was exciting. That was fun, getting those in place, and I think having that done now has allowed us to kind of look forward to our next milestone, which we feel is kind of the rest of that detention area, which is the masonry block, the mezzanine that sits out in front of those upper cells so you can access those, the stairs that go with that. So our crews are well into that, getting those items erected and completed. I would think in the next couple weeks we would see a majority of that done. So again, that'll be good. And then essentially, the bones of the project, masonry walls, all of that is essentially done. So then we're down to mechanical and electrical support with all their rough ends overhead, the main pieces of equipment that support those systems will be going in, and then we'll start some finishes, paint in the detention side, and in the holding area. We have basically what we call polished concrete floor, where we come in and we'll actually grind the top of the concrete and then seal it up. In the kitchen area, we have quarry tile, which I think in the schedule, we're looking at towards the middle to end of June to have that installed. And then we've already been in communication with the food service people that they have all the equipment ready to roll. So as soon as we get that placed on the floor, then they'll start their process. There will be a couple things that they'll do prior to that, which are the big coolers that sit in there. That's kind of an integral to the finishing of the concrete slab. It's an insulated system, and then the coolers sit on top of it. And then also there's a big hood in that area for the HVAC system to vent over top of the ovens and cook equipment. So those will all be happening probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks as well. So things are moving along very well. Knock on wood. We're all the material. We haven't experienced any of the delays. I don't know if you've had knowledge of kind of what's happening nationwide. We're starting to see a lot of material delays on other projects that started well after this one, but thankfully we got everything ordered and put into place before we got to that point. So far, nobody has come back to us and said, this is going to be delayed or that is going to be delayed. So thankful for that. So I guess in general, progress is going very well. Now that we've got everything closed up, we hope to keep everybody rolling. The crews have been good. Everybody's been supporting it well with manpower, which is always another thing across our Midwest is the shortage of manpower. But so far we've had from the subcontractors that are involved, good support from them. So don't see any real issues there yet. We're hoping so. Any questions for me?
Thank you for the tour, though. It was great.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys were able to do that. Worked out well. And again, anytime you want to do that again, just let us know. We'll just make sure, again, we've got all the safety equipment in the trailer for you guys to utilize. But yeah, anytime, just let us know. Give us a little heads up and we can make that happen again. So, any other questions? All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad?
We can move on to regular business. First reading of ordinance number 21-04, an ordinance establishing the requirements, fees, and regulations for the issuance of alcoholic beverage licenses within Brookings County. I do note it is Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. And it will read Brookings County Ordinance number 21-04, an ordinance establishing the requirements, fees, and regulations for the issuance of alcoholic beverages license within Brookings County. Be it ordained by Brookings County, South Dakota, whereas the Brookings County Board of County Commissioners, hereinafter board, believes that alcoholic beverage licenses are a privilege and not a right, and the county reserves the right to refuse approval, renewal, or transfer of any license in the event of an applicant refuses to comply with the requirements of this ordinance or other applicable local, state, or federal laws. And whereas Brookings County issues multiple types of alcoholic beverage licenses, as those terms are defined by South Dakota Codified Law 35-1-1, and that it would be to the benefit of the county to specify by ordinance the requirements, fees, and regulations for certain alcoholic beverage licenses, and therefore be it ordained by Brookings County, South Dakota, that the requirements, fees, and regulations for the issuance of certain alcoholic beverage licenses within the county be adopted as follows. Section A, on sale or off sale liquor license. Availability and notice of new license. By February 1st of each year, the Brookings County Finance Office, hereinafter Finance Office, shall determine the number of on, off sale, and off sale liquor licenses available for the ensuing calendar year and report the same to the board. The total number of available on sale and off sale liquor licenses in Brookings County is determined by South Dakota Codified Law 35-4-11-1. No off-sale liquor license will be issued to any establishment less than 3 miles from an incorporated municipality. The number of on-sale or off-sale liquor licenses available should be based upon the population of Brookings County as set forth in South Dakota Codified Law. If an additional or on-sale or off-sale liquor license becomes available in Brookings County, a notice will be published in the legal newspapers of the county for at least 2 consecutive weeks, stating that the board will be accepting applications for the new license and setting a deadline for applications to be submitted. After the deadline has passed, all applications submitted to the Finance Office shall be submitted to the board for consideration. Application process. The application for an on-sale, off-sale liquor license or the transfer of an existing license intending to operate outside the corporate limits of a municipality within Brookings County shall be submitted to the board for approval pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-1.2. The application shall be accompanied by the required fee. Applicants shall provide appropriate proof as required by the board that the premises to which the license is being issued or transferred has or shall have within the time period stated below a sufficient structure in which to conduct the operation of an on-sale or off-sale liquor business. Such proof may include, but is not necessarily limited to, pictures, inside and outside, of any existing structures and plans and specifications of proposed structures along with proof of ownership or valid license of the premises. Under no circumstance will an alcoholic beverage license of any kind be approved or transferred to any premises upon which a zoning ordinance violation has been identified until such time as the premises is brought into full compliance with all applicable provisions of the Brookings County zoning ordinance. An on-sale or off-sale liquor license shall not be issued, transferred to any premises or parcel of land where there is not an approved structure located. Conditional approval may be given to an applicant, and the license will be held by the county for up to 1 year to allow for the construction of an approved structure. These licenses will then be issued to the applicant upon the completion of such structure. Conditional approval may also be granted if the applicant needs additional time to rezone the premises for compliance with county zoning requirements. If the license has not been issued within 1 year due to the applicant failing to comply with the ordinance, the county may, upon request of the applicant, extend the conditional approval for up to 6 additional months. If it finds that the delay is not the fault of the applicant, under no circumstance shall the license be held on conditional approval in the excess of 18 months. An application for the transfer of the existing license to a new location or to another person shall comply with the requirements of South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-7. Approval process. The board shall fix the time and place for hearing upon all such applicants that come before the board. The Finance Office shall publish notice once in the legal newspaper of the county after a hearing date has been set. The notice shall be headed Notice of Hearing upon applications for sale of alcoholic beverages. The notice shall state the time and place when and where such applicants will be considered by the board, and shall state that any person interested in the approval or rejection of any such application may appear and be heard. The notice shall be published at least once a week before the hearing, pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-5. At the time and place stated in the notice, the board shall consider each application and any objection to the application before making its final decision on the application. The board may approve or disapprove the application for an on-sale liquor or off-sale license, or the transfer of existing license, depending on whether the board deems the applicant a suitable person to hold the license and whether the board considers the proposed location suitable pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-1.2. License application fees will not be refunded once the license is approved by the board and issued by the state. If the board does not approve an application, it shall endorse on the application the reasons for the denial and return the application and fee to the applicant. No further application may be received from the applicant until after the expiration of 1 year from the date of the denied application. However, if the application was denied based on the suitability of the locations for the license, no further application may be received from the applicant until after the expiration of 3 months from the date of denied application, only if the application is for a different location, pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-5.1. Renewal process. Applicants for the renewal of an on-sale or off-sale liquor license shall follow the same application process as set forth above. An application for the reissuance of an on-sale or off-sale liquor license may be approved by the board without a hearing unless in the past year the license or one or more licensed employees have been subject to criminal penalty for violation of the alcoholic beverage control law, or license has been suspended pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-1.2. The board may not reissue any on-sale or off-sale liquor license issued pursuant to subdivision 35-4-2, parenthesis 4, parenthesis 6, or parenthesis 13 to the same license or the licensee's transferee if the license has not been actively used by the applicant during the 2 years preceding the date of the current application, pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-5.3. The term actively used, as defined in South Dakota Codified Law 35-2-5.3, means that the licensed premises was open to the public during the regular business hours for the sale and consumption of distilled spirits for at least 60 days during the 2 preceding years. However, the licensed premises is only required to be open 5 days per year if it is open to the public during a special event that has at least 25,000 visitors. No licensee granted under this title may be reissued until all taxes incurred by the licensee as a result of the operation of the licensed premises, including municipal and state sales tax and use taxes, unemployment insurance tax, and any other state tax, are paid and are not delinquent. No license granted under this title may be reissued until all the property taxes which are liability of the license levied on the licensed premises are paid or are not delinquent. No license granted under this title may be issued to an Indian tribe operating in Indian country controlled by the Indian tribe, or to a enrolled tribal member operating in Indian country controlled by the Indian tribe, or to a tribal member operating in Indian country controlled by the enrolled tribal member's tribe, until the Indian tribe or enrolled tribal member remits to the Department of Revenue all use tax incurred by non-members as a result of the operation of the licensed premises, and any other state tax has been remitted or is not delinquent. Other alcoholic beverage licenses. Applicants for any other alcoholic beverage license, excluding on-sale liquor license issued by the county, shall follow the requirements as set forth above unless otherwise specified by South Dakota Codified Law or the South Dakota Department of Revenue. Section C, provisions pertaining to all licenses. All alcoholic beverage licenses issued by the county shall be subject to the following provisions. Special event license. Applications for special event licenses shall only be received by civic, charitable, educational, fraternal, or veterans organizations, or any licensee license pursuant to subdivision 35-4-2, parentheses 4, parentheses 6, or parentheses 16. No fee is required with the application for a special events license. Any license issue pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-4-124 shall be issued for a period of time established within the sole discretion of the board, not to exceed 15 consecutive days. No person or organization may be issued a permit pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-4-124 more than 3 times in any one calendar year. No public hearing is required for the issuance of a license pursuant to this section if the person applying for the license holds an on-sale alcoholic beverage license or retail malt beverage license in the municipality or county, or holds an operating agreement for a municipal on-sale alcohol beverage license, and the license to be used in a publicly owned facility. The license must comply with all applicable state laws concerning the consumption of alcoholic beverages as set forth in South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 35-4. Special events licenses may be issued for different alcoholic beverage licenses as specified in South Dakota Codified Law 35-4-124. Time for selling or serving, no on-sale or off-sale license. Licensee licensed under South Dakota Codified Law 35-4-2 may sell, serve, or allow to be consumed on the premises covered by the license alcohol beverage between the hours of 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. or at any time on Christmas Day pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-4-2.1, except for holders of on-off-sale malt beverage licenses and on-off-sale wine licenses, which shall be permitted to sell, serve, and allow consumption on the premises covered by the license on Christmas Day. The sale, service, and consumption of alcoholic beverages shall be permitted on Sundays and Memorial Day, except between the hours of 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 35-4-81. A violation of this section is a Class 2 misdemeanor punishable by up to 30 days imprisonment in the county jail or $500 fine, or both. Consumption on county property. The consumption of alcoholic beverages upon property owned, leased, or rented by Brookings County shall be prohibited unless authorized by this ordinance. Persons who wish to dispense alcoholic beverages upon county property must submit an application to the board, who shall therefore advise the applicant of the applicable restrictions, locations, and activities permitted for this possession, sale, or consumption of alcoholic beverages applicable to such location or function. The applicant is therefore required to post written notice of such restriction in a conspicuous manner at each location where alcoholic beverages are dispensed. Applications to dispense alcoholic beverages in locations under the joint control of the City of Brookings and Brookings County will be reviewed and approved by the Joint Powers Board. A violation of this section is a Class 2 misdemeanor, punishable by up to 30 days imprisonment in the county jail or $500 fine, or both. Section H, miscellaneous. This ordinance shall replace any and all prior ordinances or resolutions adopted by a Brookings County Board of County Commissioners regarding the regulations, requirements, or distribution of alcoholic beverage licenses within the county, except resolution number 15-04 establishing the current number of on-sale liquor license available for a calendar year. Any provision regarding the requirements, fees, regulation, or distribution of alcoholic beverage licenses not addressed within this ordinance shall be followed pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law. That is
Yeah,
that's the first reading.
that's the first reading. The second reading will be Tuesday, July 6th at 9 a.m. That's part of the regular commission meeting that day.
Okay, going back to item B, 9:15, public hearing and action to approve a retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license to Skyview Junction LLC. We have motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I would now open the public hearing. Anybody proponent that would like to speak to this item? Would you please come forward, speak? Any proponents that would like to come forward and speak? Hearing none. Any opponents that would like to come forward and speak? Any opponents would like to come forward and speak? Hearing none. Like to close the public hearing and request comment.
Do we have anyone here from Skyview Junction?
Believe Mr.
Whoever it is needs to come up because I have questions for that person. Need to come forward and speak.
Mr. Stufen, would you come forward and just state your name there on the,
Here,
yep.
James Stoughton, Elkton, South Dakota.
You want to have a seat, sir, and tell us what happened and why you had an issue with following the ordinance?
I don't have no issue with it. It's just that when you're busy and we got a lot of Hispanics over there, it's hard to keep track of everything. We do the best we can do. We didn't intentionally do it. All I can say, I guess, can't.
What, was it a alcohol check that was the problem? What happened?
Yes, it was one of the compliance checks that our local sheriff's department runs.
So I'm curious, the person that sold alcohol and then it was ticketed as a result of the compliance check, do they still work for you?
I'm the one that did it.
You're the one that did it. Have you completed the training that's required by the state of South Dakota as relates to alcohol checks?
I don't know. Most people don't go to that training.
Pardon me?
I say most people don't go to that training.
They do if they want to have a license. It's required by law. So neither you nor any of your employees have completed the alcohol training required by the department?
Yes, they have, and quite a few years ago already.
Pardon me?
We have had it, but I've been to the school.
Is there any requirements that they register those training classes when they completed them, or? No? Any-
Moving forward, are you planning to make any changes so this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, we do the best we can do, and like I said, we got a lot of Hispanics. You can't even read the license, you know. So we do read what we can read and do what we can do. I'm not too thrilled about this deal myself, but it's a done thing, done past. We're awful busy that night. That's when they come, you know, check on you.
Well, Mr. Stufen, I don't think it matters whether somebody's Hispanic or not. When the law requires you to ask them for ID, if they don't show you ID, has nothing to do with whether or not they're Hispanic. Either they have ID showing they're over 21 or they don't have ID showing they're over 21.
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to know whether the state's attorney or the sheriff has anything to say about all this.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do you have?
In the,
There hasn't been any other issues?
This is the first that I am aware of in my time.
Any other questions?
Good morning. Rick Ribstein. I'm here today with Jim. I just wanted to make sure he was going to come up here and answer any questions that may be posed to him. I'm willing to work with him, make sure he has completed the training. I believe a while back maybe that was accomplished, but I'm willing to work with him to make sure that is done as he moves forward. That is required. I know it's required, and that's important. And if I can work with him and assist him, I think we'll get this going in the right direction and hopefully make it a good outcome here. So.
Can we require a copy of the completion of the training?
I can sure check into that, and whatever copies available, I can provide it to Mr. Nelson or the board, whatever you prefer.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Krogman,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
No?
Bartley,
aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We do have a 9:30. Go back to regular business. Item B, action to approve agreement number 21-77, a State of South Dakota Department of Health, Division of Family and Community Health subrecipient agreement. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
This is essentially a routine annual contract. The amount changed. The contract amount is up just over about $8,000 from last year's agreement is the only change.
Okay.
Could you tell what the 8,000 was attributed to?
I
couldn't
think it's
tell.
based on caseload. So that fluctuates from year to year based on the number of cases that they have there.
Any other questions? Hearing none, call roll.
Boersma,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C, action approve agreement number 21-78, amendment number 1 to state agreement number 716655, agreement number 18-63, a State of South Dakota Department of Transportation Bridge Improvement Grant Agreement for Rehabilitation Replacement. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
Move
moved.
approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments?
Since this was delayed, it just, you guys can see they're extending any work that doesn't get done prior to December 31st, 2024.
This is the Signage Bridge
Correct.
that's been delayed and delayed and delayed. So now they're requesting that official extension through that agreement, an agreement to the amendment, or a agreement to the original, an amendment to the original agreement. There's the right words I'm trying to say today.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. It is 9:30. Have second reading, public hearing and action approve ordinance number 21-02, an ordinance authorizing rezoning of northeast quarter, except lot H1 and except that part lying east and north of lot H1 in section 14, township 109 north, range 50 west, Madera Township. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Would now open public hearing. Any proponents that would like to speak to this? Is there any proponents that would like to speak to this? Hearing none, is there any opponents that would like to speak to this? Any opponents? Hearing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Any comments?
We should read this as read
Okay.
this, do the second reading of this ordinance.
Ordinance 2021-02, an ordinance authorizing the rezoning of northeast quarter except lot H1 and except that part lying east and north of lot H1 in section 14, township 109 north, range 50 west, Madera Township. Whereas COD Investments LLC by David Knight made an application to Brookings County Zoning Board to rezone property from joint jurisdiction agricultural and R1B agricultural and resident single family district to joint jurisdiction B3 heavy business district. Whereas the Brookings County Planning Commission recommended approval to the rezone the property on April 6, 2021. Whereas South Dakota Codified Law 11-2-30 requires the Brookings County Commission to adopt or reject the change. Therefore, it be ordained by Brookings County, South Dakota, in accordance with Section 800 of Article 8 of Appendix C, Joint Jurisdiction Area Zoning Ordinance of the City of Brookings and County of Brookings, South Dakota, that the following property be rezoned from joint jurisdiction agricultural and R1B agricultural and residence single family district to joint jurisdiction B3 heavy business district. Northeast quarter, except lot H1 and except that part lying east and north of lot H1 in section 14, township 109 north, range 50 west, Madera Township. Dated this first day of June 2021. Any other comments?
Do we have a map of this location?
I do not.
Richard, do you like to come forward?
Yes, if you want to put the podium camera on here, I can. This is the S-curve south of Brookings. Richard Haugen, Brookings County Deputy Development Director. This is the property right here that is being rezoned, everything on the south and west side of the curve, south of Brookings. This property right here is not. So it's everything right here in this yellow outlined area. And the Planning and Zoning Commission approved it, a unanimous vote 9-0 on April 6th by both the joint meeting.
Any other questions for Richard?
Thank you.
Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Pierce.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Boersma.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I lost my place. Item D, action to approve agreement number 21-79, a purchase agreement between Brookings County and Bose Construction Incorporated for the bituminous overlay project. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item E, action approve agreement number 21-80, an application for the occupancy right-of-way of county highways made by Riley Wallner in Argo Township. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any comments?
This was kind of a unique one. It's for irrigation. I required them to case it, and any of the excavation took place on their property, but for irrigation underneath one of our county gravel roads, 40.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried. Item F, action approve agreement number 21-81, one chart link partner agreement between Brookings County and Sanford. I have a motion to approve.
Move approval?
Second.
I have a motion second. Comments?
Marty, do you want to speak to this, or do you want me to tell him what I know? So, Richard Hebe is our coroner, and now that he is no longer a practicing physician, Avera is going to continue to let him access records, but Sanford wanted this agreement in place so that he, as coroner, can access records in cases that he needs them during his duties as coroner. Does that state it?
Right up.
I have some questions. Is this agreement between Brookings County and Sanford, or is it between the Brookings County coroner and Sanford? Who are the two parties to the agreement?
Well,
I
it says
think what
the
what
coroner,
the
but-
question was when I visited with Dr. Hebe and I presented to Dan was that he wasn't sure if he could just sign off on it or if it needed the county commission. You know, since he is an elected official, but normally the chair signs off on agreements. And I think, Dan, you agreed to that.
Commission should know what the coroner's entering into an agreement with, especially since it's a private entity. So I told Marty to bring it before the county commission for that reason, as more of a heads up than approval.
So is the county a party to the agreement?
I think so. I think the county is a party because of the work that the coroner does for the county.
See, and I think that should be written just a little bit different at the top where it says the Brookings County coroner then, as opposed to Brookings County. But here is what questions that raised for me. I'm not opposed to this. I just want to be sure we do it right. In number 10, where we're talking about the insurance requirements for the county if we're participating in this, are we doing that, or is Dr. Hebe doing that? And do we need to send that past our insurance people and make sure that we've got that covered? And then, Dan, you probably already looked at the requirements, so let's, in number, that portion that says that if the coroner, and it doesn't say coroner, but if we look at it and we see that there's a legal issue, if Dr. Hebe looks at some records and he thinks that there's a criminal act that's been committed, that prior to the state's attorney's office being able to proceed and have copies of any of those records, this process has to be gone through. Are you okay with all of that? Because this says that our coroner cannot release the sheriff's office or the state's attorney's office anything that he learned looking at these records without giving Sanford notice in advance and allowing them to take court action to protect the privacy of the people involved. Is that what we want to say for this type of agreement?
I don't think that this agreement covers criminal prosecutions.
Do we want it to say that?
I don't think it does say that.
When we look at, just a second, I'll show you the part. I can't find it real quick. In 6B, upon receipt of a request for disclosure of Sanford data from a court or governmental agency, the coroner has to immediately notify the technical liaison prior to any disclosure to allow Sanford the opportunity to seek an appropriate protective order or other limitation necessary to protect the Sanford data.
Yeah, I just don't think that this applies to criminal prosecutions, and we've dealt with Sanford in the past as it relates to criminal investigations, and it hasn't been an issue, and I don't think this agreement's going to change that.
What I'm concerned about, because it doesn't say that, I'd like it to say, with the exception of criminal prosecutions, that I'd be fine, if we've got something in our agreement. But, okay, let's say our coroner gets information from Sanford and then uses that information, releases it without following this process to the sheriff's office or to your office, and then we get sued for civil liability from whoever's data was released. That's what I'm worried about, okay?
Well, wouldn't we just go for a subpoena anyway? I mean,
Would you subpoena
If
before
if
you
that-
do it? How would you know to subpoena if Dr. Hebe hadn't given you any information that he got from Sanford?
Well, because if it's a criminal prosecution, I don't really care what Hebe did. I cared what the hospital did, and if the hospital has relevant information outside of what Hebe did, it's not going through Hebe. It's going from the state's attorney's office directly to Sanford, not as part of this agreement. Because if a victim goes to Sanford and is administered medical treatment, it's not what Hebe did, it's what Sanford did to the victim, outside of whatever Hebe did as part of the investigation. So I think I think this agreement is if Hebe is working through Sanford as part of his investigation, this is what this agreement covers, right? That wouldn't necessarily be the case in criminal prosecutions, because the way these investigations go and the medical treatment that's administered to victims or witnesses isn't pertaining to this agreement. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I think we're overthinking it a little bit. So I can run it by our insurance people though. Before, I think we should keep the coroner at the top though, rather than the county commission, because it's not the county commission that's entering into the agreement, it's the coroner, and today's purpose was just to let the county commission know that the coroner was entering into this agreement. So
We won't be doing any duties as coroners.
No, but if our coroner gets sued, we're sued.
Right, I understand that, but it's not Brookings County in general. It's only the coroner who's
Exactly.
entering into this agreement.
Right.
So I think, is it not then appropriately titled Brookings County Coroner?
I wasn't sure on that. That's why I asked
Yeah.
the question, because when we say Brookings County coroner, do we mean Brookings County we're the deep pocket behind that position. And so I just want to be sure we've got our insurance coverage in line.
I don't think it's a bad idea to run it by our insurance, like we talked about there, to make sure, see if there's any issues with it. Doesn't hurt to do that.
Do you want to table this till the next meeting and we can do that?
Is time of the essence on this, or?
Would it be okay to table this until the June 15th meeting? Would you have an issue with that?
I'd move to table to the June 15th meeting.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor to table this issue, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Table till June 15th. We have to sign a form or anything to it? Okay. So, it is 9:45. Second reading and action, approve ordinance number 21-03, a temporary ordinance regarding the issuance of local medical cannabis establishment permits and licenses. Have motion approved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. read ordinance number 2021-03, a temporary ordinance regarding the issuance of local medical cannabis establishment permits and/or licenses, whereas the local government may enact an ordinance not in conflict with South Dakota Codified Law, Chapter 34-20G, governing the time, place, manner, and number of medical cannabis established in the locality. A local government may establish civil penalties for violation of an ordinance governing the time, place, and manner of medical cannabis establishment that may operate in the locality. A local government may require a medical cannabis establishment to attain a local license, zoning permit, and registration to operate, and may charge a reasonable fee for the local licensee, zoning permit, or registration. Whereas Brookings County, South Dakota makes a preliminary finding that the county's current regulations and controls may not adequately address the unique needs and impacts of medical cannabis establishments as defined in South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G-1. Whereas medical cannabis state laws under South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G are effective July 1st, 2021. The South Dakota Department of Health shall promulgate rules pursuant to Chapter 1 through 26 no later than October 29th, 2021, as defined by South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G-72. During the time between July 1st, 2021, and potentially as late as October 29th, 2021, local units of government will not yet know standards for medical cannabis and will not be able to adequately assess the local zoning and licensing requirements necessary to approve local permits and to better ensure applicants have a more predictable permitting process and avoid stranded investments. Whereas the county makes a preliminary finding that the county needs further study of the relationship of medical cannabis establishments to the county comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance, the public interest requires that the county study, analyze, and evaluate the impacts of medical cannabis establishments and to fully explore the impacts of any proposed regulations regarding medical cannabis establishments. Whereas the county makes a preliminary finding that it would be inappropriate for the county to issue a local permit or license to a medical cannabis establishment prior to the South Dakota Department of Health's promulgation of regulations governing the same. Whereas the county hereby exercises its authority under South Dakota Codified Law 11-2-10 and South Dakota Codified Law 7-18A-8 to establish a temporary ordinance regarding the issuance of any local permits, licenses for medical cannabis establishments within the county. Whereas a temporary ordinance will ensure that the comprehensive zoning ordinance and building permit changes, licensing permits, and any proposed amendments to the county's comprehensive plan can be completely examined with adequate public input from citizens, business interests, and medical cannabis industry as representatives. Whereas the county finds that a temporary ordinance is reasonable to preserve the status quo and prevent significant investment pending the outcome of the above study and any proposed regulations emanating therefrom. Whereas the county finds that the following ordinance is necessary to protect and immediately preserve the public health, safety, welfare, peace, and support of the county government and its existing public institutions. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Brookings County, South Dakota, Section 1, temporary ordinance, applicant for local permit and licensing. A medical cannabis establishment desiring to operate in the county shall be required to apply for permit and/or license from the county. Applications for local permit and/or license to operate a medical cannabis establishment as defined by South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G-1 shall not be accepted until the South Dakota Department of Health has promulgated regulations as required by South Dakota Codified Law 34-20G-72. An application received prior to such regulations being promulgated shall be denied. Immediate effect. This ordinance is necessary to protect and immediately preserve the public health, safety, welfare, peace, and support of the county government and its existing public institution pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 11-2-10 and South Dakota Codified Law 7-18A-8, dated this first day of June, 2021. This is second reading. Any other comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Action to approve the following retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota Farm wine licenses effective July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Do we do each of these separate or?
I think you just can do them all together, just list them.
This will be for the Brookings Country Club, Inc., Cusman's LLC, parentheses, the Boathouse, Danceland Campground, Good Roots Farm and Gardens, SVK Properties, Midway Camp, the Corner Gas and Goodies, the Wagon Wheel Resort LLC. Any other comments?
Where's Cusband's?
That's the boathouse up at Lake Ponset. It used to be Arlington Beach Resort.
It's not the place that's been shut down the last 2 years. This is a different place.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Action H, action to approve a request to fill vacancy for the Veteran Service Officer. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments? Hearing none, we call the roll, or all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Dave is here for the 10 o'clock as well, and that's not a noticed public hearing. It was just to give him a time to be here. So if we want to get that
Okay.
action item done, we sure can.
All right, Dave, would you like to come forward? We have a 10 o'clock action approve a request for the Signage Fire Department for a funding from the long-term fund. Just state your name and.
Good morning, Dave Jacobson with the Brookings County Firefighters Association. At this time, I'd like to request the full amount of Signage's reserve fund balance, their current and long-term balance, in the amount of, just a second here. Stacy?
$23,472.80.
Right. I had it twice today. Yeah, 23,472.80 for the purchase of a new brush truck for the Sinai Fire Department that they're purchasing from federal surplus.
Okay. Have any questions?
And if you recall, at the end of each year, whatever budget is left in the current year's budget rolls into this long-term fund, and you'll actually see that at budget hearings, but they have that long-term fund divided up by department within the county is allocated so much of those funds, and they have that, they track that on their side, the Firefighters Association does. And so Sinai is requesting their allocation from the long-term funds as well as the current 2021 funds to purchase this truck.
That is correct. And Stacy and I have audited the balance that our association showed as well as the balance that she showed, and they were spot on. And all that money is just earmarked for each of the departments that are either in Brookings County or cover a portion of Brookings County. So
Are there restrictions on what those funds can be used for, or can the department use it basically for whatever they need?
I'm not aware of any restrictions. The departments try to earmark those funds for county firefighting protection or EMS needs. For example, our department, I'm on the Volga Fire Department, and we've built our own brush truck with county funds or with the assistance of county funds. We've built tender trucks that haul water to rural residences with county funds. We've also purchased communications equipment, pagers, radios. But we, as a group, we realize that the money is coming from the county, and that we try to use it to, benefit county residents. We don't, our engines, we've purchased with city funds or our club funds that we've raised for both rural and, city firefighting protection. But for rural, it's brush trucks, it's tankers, it's EMS equipment, communications.
It'll be coming in our packet for the budget. Worked with Dave a little bit, and Dave's been working with Stacy. Have a little more in-depth valuation of explaining what every department has, and we'll be seeing that here, I'm sure.
I've turned that in, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be part of the budget discussions on June 24th. It's part of their budget request for 2022.
I did request from each of the departments a more detailed description of what they're using those funds for, whether it be their short-term money for 2022 or if they're banking funds, that we have here. There's some departments that have one that has 70,000 banked, but I asked for a description of what they want to use that money for, and I provided that to Stacy in our 2022 budget request.
Okay. No other questions? Call the roll, please.
I'm not sure who motioned that
I would move to approve.
request.
I don't know that we did move.
I thought we did.
No, I would move to approve if we haven't already.
Yeah, I'll second.
A motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Boersma?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Go back to item number 9, correct?
Correct.
Commission Department Directors Report.
Just a couple of things real quick. CDI's annual golf outing is 18th. Registration at 10 and golf starting at 11. At this point, it's just a save the date reminder. A number of you have participated in that in the past, so I wanted to share that with you. And then other than that, just some upcoming dates. We do have budget hearings on June 24th. That's going to be all day. We're going to start, I think, at like 8:15. I think the first department comes in about 8:30, so that gives us a little time to get kind of situated and get things in place. Sunday, July 18th, Maderi Monument rededication ceremony will be at 2 o'clock out at the monument site. We do have Safety Week activities planned for the week of July 19th. And to get it on your calendars now, the Safety Picnic will be Thursday, July 22nd. We're going to have specific sign-up times. You can either sign up to go at 11, at noon, or at 1. We're getting a catered meal from the Valley Restaurant in Volga, and that will be held out at the BCOAC. So visit with me at some point if you want to attend and what time you want to attend that safety picnic. Thursday, July 22nd is the picnic.
And you have to sign up for what time or what time?
Either 11, noon, or 1 during that hour. So we're kind of spreading people out again, and Bob will be giving his fabulous presentation on summertime safety that he always gives, and we'll have a wonderful meal. But yeah, just let me know. We have a little bit of time here to get signed up for that. And I mentioned the CDI golf outing. That's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
August 13th is Friday.
August 13th, Thursday, August 13th is a Friday? Oh, I put the wrong thing. August 12th, sorry. Thursday, August 12th. I knew it was always a Thursday, so I'll change that.
Any other questions? Hearing none, State's Attorney's Office report.
Nothing to report.
Commissioner reports and discussion items. Commissioner Pierce.
Short report. I attended the special meeting on the marijuana ordinance with the rest of you on May 25th. Also on May 25th, as I indicated before we started our meeting today, I met with Tanner Aiken, who is a horticulturist at SDSU, also owns a tree. And we walked the courthouse green. This was based on, Stacy and I met over at the courthouse for part of the courthouse security stuff, and then we talked about the trees, and we've got a couple of trees that need to come out that are near the parking lot. And when you look around, there are some other trees that need some trimming, and at least one other tree that has some type of disease, I forget. Tanner's going to put together a bid for fixing those problems for us. He does not do any tree installation, and the next step in that process would be looking at trees that we would put in for replacement trees. In the next 10 years, we're going to lose some other trees. We have quite a few ash trees that are on the courthouse square, and I've sat through that presentation that John Ball does, if the rest of you know who John is. And he says that in 10 years, we won't have any ash trees in Brookings County because of the ash emerald borer. And we might want to be planning now, putting in young trees so that by the time we're losing our ash trees, the two biggest trees that are over at the courthouse are American elm. And those might not be here in 10 years either. So just planning a little bit, and he'll be bringing up a report that I will bring to you to see if we want to do anything.
Commissioner Bartley.
My report is also short. I also attended the 25th Commission meeting with the, and other than that, I was out of town trying to do some turkey hunting in the hills, and I can report that there was probably 150 to 200 turkeys that saw us. We did not see them, so, but I saved another turkey for another day. I got back and my wife said, well, what kind of turkey are we having? I said, well, you want Hy-Vee or you want Butterball or what do you want? So anyway, that was a short report.
Commissioner Krogman.
Yes. And went over, just had some inputs and talked with Dustin on that. And so, got done in an hour, which was nice. Then on the 25th, I was there at the joint zoning meeting, county zoning meeting, just like with everybody else. And then the 26th, we had a beta meeting, trying to figure out funds with different types of federal funds, and they end in October. So their budget process is different than ours. And so we're just trying to figure out where those monies go and which money to draw from because of the different pots that are there. And then just we have a couple board members that are term limited out of there. We did put in term, and that was their last meeting. And so 2 new board members will be coming on, and then we'll keep going. Really no update on the building of the facility there. It's kind of at a standstill. We're still waiting to hear. We did get our report that same day from our group that we hired to take a look at it. And so we're just digesting that a little bit, and then we'll move forward. So, but the Brookings Health did not have a board meeting this month. They have a couple months where they don't have board meetings, and this was one of them. So that's my report.
Commissioner Borzman.
On May 19th, I had an ICAP board meeting as well as a BEDC board meeting. We sort of talked about the survey that's being undertaken by board members, staff, and members in order to and board training coming up here. So I have the results of those that we'll be sending back to BEDC staff here shortly, and then go forth in planning that. Was also part of the Joint Planning Commission meeting on the 25th, and then the 26th met with Stacy in the State's Attorney's Office and welfare folks on figuring out kind of how that restructure looks. So that's it.
On the 20th, I volunteered briefly out at the, and on the 24th, our BCOAC advisory board meeting, our joint zoning board meeting on medical marijuana. That's all I have. So move on to item 12, is that executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 5-2, parenthesis 1 and parenthesis 4, personnel and contract negotiations. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.